This is the project page when users log into their accounts on Shamel Studio. Let's start a new project from scratch. Let's say you just finished writing your script, or maybe you are a producer and your friend wrote the script, or a director, and you're going to start. And obviously, the base for any project is the schedule. The schedule is your blueprint for the entire plan of the production, and the budget is built based on the assumptions in the schedule. So this is kind of the base that we're going to start with. So I'm going to hit on create a schedule here. Here I have the option to upload a single script or multiple scripts. Let's say you're working on a TV show, that's the option for that. Now, for the sake of this workshop, we're just going to do a single script, and I'm just going to upload a feature script. I have a few scripts from just well-known films from the last few years. Anyone would like to pick a script here, and we can just break down the scripts? Just mention the name, just say. Or Jen can say pick.
Star is Born.
Star is Born.
I think a lot of us have seen that one, yeah.
Great. And I'm just gonna like open this file before I upload it. This is just the PDF script that I found online of the script. So I'm just gonna upload that. Now, within 20 seconds, the software is detecting your cast members, background actors, picture vehicles, props, animals, or weapons if there's any in the script, and generate a synopsis for every single scene, and obviously like building the stripboard. So let's see what we get here in a second. So here we have it. We have 100. I mean, at this on the top right, it says we have 121 scenes, and that's your entire script. Now, if you probably used any other softwares, like whether it's like Movie Magic or Studio Binders, probably know that every line here represents a scene, and that's your entire script. So let's say, for example, we can go and see scene 23. Tell me that it's interior day. It tells me the set of the scene, Ali's house. Give me a synopsis of the scene, and then the length of each scene here. And usually, like in the scheduling softwares, it's based on like 1/8 of a page. And we have our cast IDs, who's in each scene. And in some cases, we have some background actors, and it's kind of showing that here. And that's the entire script. I mean, just to explain what just happened in 20 minutes, that's usually a day or two for a producer or an AD to break down a script, just done in 20 seconds. So instead of the whole manual processes and I have to write and input all this, this is done for you. So now we start actually the actual scheduling. It's of like making the creative decisions of like why I'm going to start with this scene and not that scene, or start in this location and that location, and not like a specific location based on what you have in your plan. So I'm just going to go over a few tools that helps in these decisions, and obviously go over the concepts. So this is kind of the stripboard view. I'm sure like everyone's familiar with this. One of the tools we have at the top here, and this is probably one of the first things you're going to discuss, is the sort tool. Let's say I want to sort my scenes. So you're able to sort your scenes by different criteria. Let's say I want to sort my scenes by set. So I want to bring all the sets like in this house or in that kitchen or in that specific like store together. And then within that set, I want to, for example, schedule my scene to be exterior and then interior. So like if we're doing at a specific store, I want to shoot the exterior scenes first and then interior. I mean, there are many, like there's many scenarios. Why would you do this or that? But for example, usually like you would, if you're shooting a day, like during a day, the AD would probably prefer to start exterior while the art team is prepping the interiors of that location, or vice versa. It depends on the availability. Or maybe you want to start day and then night. So you can pick and choose the different criteria based on what works for your production plan. We also have an auto sort tool here, and we did this by just talking to a lot of ADs and producers because we found that the majority of like productions follow a very specific methodology. They go by location, and then within that you go by set, and then exterior, then interior, day and night, and scene numbers. So with one click, I'm able to get a very quick sort to all my scenes. Now, obviously, like I did not input my locations here, so that's not I mean, it hasn't been used here, but if I input all the locations, they're going to be a factor in this sorting. So that's kind of like a quick tool to get at least an initial sorting. And obviously, you can always go in and tweak it and rearrange things. That's always available. Another tool that also hopefully saves you a lot of time is day breaks. Let's say you finished writing your script and you're trying to figure out, if I film 3 pages per day, how many days do I need to film this script? So I can go here and do, for example, 3 pages per day. I'm going to hit apply. And now all my day breaks are added, trying to get like 3 pages per day. And now at the top, it tells me that you roughly need 41 days to shoot this film. So that's one way. Now, in many cases, as producers, as filmmakers, you come on a project, you know that you can only afford 25 days of shooting, or maybe 15. So that's also a different way of doing day breaks. So I can go to day breaks here, and I'm going to go days, and I'm just going to put, let's say we can only afford 25 days. I'm going to hit that. And now it would adjust it to fit that specific day. Now, the idea here is this is only based, the day breaks is based on the length of each scene. So the creative input now from the producer or the filmmaker is needed to allow more time for a stunt versus a small scene in the house. So not all scenes are equal. Some scenes could be like a 2 page scene, but it's like maybe contained and like it's a simple scene that you can achieve it like in a specific amount of hours, versus maybe like could be half a page scene, but it's like a battle scene that probably require 5 days of filming or maybe 2 weeks. So that's where like the creative input, I'm gonna come here and move scenes around based on whatever is available, or like the plan that I have for my production. Now, a lot of all the manual tools that you probably expect from other tools are available. Let's say I want to add some banners here. I want to just make some notes here. Let's say I'm going to add a banner here day one, and maybe I'll add another one for, let's say we have a break here. This is lunch. So like all that is available. I can add even notes for my production team, and so on. Now, for the sake of this workshop, since we're trying to do like more like an indie film, I'm just gonna do this as, let's say we only can afford 20 days. And I'm just gonna put that here in. Obviously, you can always tweak and change the synopsis. So whatever is generated, this is kind of a suggestion from the software. But like if you're not happy with it, if you'd like to tweak it a bit, you can always go in and adjust the synopsis and add the details of all the scenes. Some basic tools like production dates. Let's say you can obviously choose when you're starting your production. I'm just gonna pick next week for now. And I can choose, let's say we're gonna be off on weekends. So we're shooting Monday to Friday, and I'm gonna hit apply. There are other tools you can obviously explore on your own, like a view tool to adjust the look of your strip board. If you like to have thin strips, maybe hide some columns, and maybe I want to add a column for comments, so I can just make like some notes. If let's say we have VFX shot here, or maybe like something specific, you can add more notes to your script. So this is kind of like a very quick view of the strip board. Now, let's go and look at the breakdown of each scene itself. So I'm just going to go and double click on one of these scenes. This is scene 23. And that takes me to the scene breakdown. Now, on the left side, you have your breakdown sheet, and that's probably you're familiar with from other softwares. And on the right side, you have the scene next to it. And we designed it this way in order for you to be able to check and make sure everything's done properly in terms of like elements and the details of the scene. So I can see I have my actors or like characters here detected in red, whether they have lines or even in the description of the scene. And that's reflected under the cast category on the left side. Now I can see I have two wardrobe elements here, and that's shown under wardrobe. Currently, we have a vehicle here in the scene. So like obviously the AD or the producer will still obviously you have to go. You can't rely that, oh, this is a finished schedule. You still obviously have to go and check and add the details to the scene to make sure everything's properly detected. So I can go to the next scene and I can read my script and make sure it's properly done. We have a background actor, we have some uniforms here, and so on. Let's go to the next scene and see. Because sometimes there's always a creative component that you have to put in. For example, here we have a catering crew. Now, the catering crew is detected as background actor, but it's not specified how many are the catering crew. Are they 2? Are they 20? So that's a creative decision that I'm going to come here and say, let's say we're going to have 7 of them. And I can scroll down and see like what we have in the script. Let's say in this scene, we have this guitar. And let's say this guitar is a crucial element of this specific scene and has to be like pointed out as a prop. So I'm just going to go and select this prop and add it as prop here and hit create. And it's going to show right away under props. So that even the process of tagging elements is much easier and convenient. I'm just going to highlight a few tools also here. One of the most requested thing that I got from producers over the last few months, they would tell me that they would get a script and there's a scene, there's a montage written under one scene heading. And now they ask, okay, like what's the best way to break down the scene? Is it like to add manual scenes or do duplicates? So to solve this, we just added a split tool where you're able to split your scene into different parts with just a click. I can just select it here and maybe let's say we do another split here. So now I have scene 25 part 1, part 2, and then part 3. And that also could apply to, let's say you have a very long scene that you're going to split it over multiple days or maybe multiple locations. That also work in this situation. And if I'm happy with the split, I'm just going to confirm it. And that's going to regenerate a synopsis for every part and redetect the elements. So if I go back to stripboard, now I have my 3 parts already on my stripboard. And if I'm not happy with this, I can go back and I'm going to remerge them. It's going to bring them back together the way they were. And obviously, this is kind of like part of the actual breakdown. You would spend time going through the scenes, make sure everything is properly detected, and add all the details if anything was missing. Now, I'm just going to go to the view of the day out of days, and I'm able to show that for all the different elements. I'm just going to go to my cast here. And obviously, based on the 10 minutes we just did, it's a very quick breakdown for my cast members, but that'll give you like a good idea of like your plan. One of the tools here we have is you're able to switch days on the day out of days. So for example, if I'm trying to optimize for a specific cast member, I'm able to switch, for example, like this day to here. And that's going to update all my stripboard and breakdown as well. I can manage those elements. So I'm just going to go to elements here and I have the same categories. I'll go to cast and now I can see a list of my cast members. It's loading with all the details. So I have my cast member, the ID and the occurrences, where they appear in which scene. I can put any availability, like if a specific actor is not available on a specific day, I can also point that out. Now, something else also related to the writing style that affects your scheduling. Sometimes you might have a scene that says, a man walks in the room and later in the script identify this man as Michael. And now you have 2 names or 2 characters referring to, or like 2 names referring to 1 character. So in order to have a clean, organized like day out of days and reports, we added a merge tool to help clean up this. So for example, I'm going to just filter by my lead character here, Ali. So I can see I have Ali OS off screen. I have Ali BO voiceover. Assuming we need Ali for all these scenes, I can just select these specific elements and merge them into one. And I can choose to be all under Ali and number 1. And now this is gonna make my day out of days and reports more organized. And obviously you can do that for different characters and also for different sets. And that's usually my tip for using the software. Before you spend time on the stripboard, reordering your scenes, I would say cleaning up your cast members and sets. That's going to save you so much time when you do the sorting on the stripboard. So for example, here we have Ali's house bedroom, Ali's house close to cell phone. Now, where is this exactly happening? Is this in the bedroom or is it somewhere else? So that's where, like, as you're reading the script, you're going to decide, actually, maybe it's the same thing or maybe it's a different set. Now, even to make this more efficient, we do have a suggestion tool here at the top under cast and set. So if I open this, I can see I have some suggestions from the software telling me that Ali's house, the valley. Now, is this the same set or not? Now, that's obviously your decision here to come and say, oh, I'm going to merge these sets, or maybe I'm going to ignore it. And same thing, Jack's SUV moving. So it's just sometimes the writing style could add a word that affects the way the software sees the sets. Now, and let's say you spend some time on this, which is actually, I skipped the calendar view. So I'm going to show you quickly, which you're able to see your scenes on a calendar. And it's similar to the stripboard, but that's kind of like just an overview from the top. Just like if you want to move scenes around, that's available. I can move scenes between days, or maybe switch entire days. Let's say my location between day 9 and 10 got switched, so I'm able to switch days like that. And finally, I can export. I have all the different reports. I can export my stripboard schedule. And this is a very standard looking. This is like kind of the industry standard. It's not that we're trying or redesigning this the way we do like schedules. It's kind of the same way, just a faster tool to get you there. So you have the stripboard. You can export the calendar, shooting schedule, day out of days, and you can also export the sites directly from your scheduling software. So I can go here and say day 2, and now I'm able to export the sites from here. So that's kind of like a very quick view of the different tools. Now, and the idea here for the scheduling software is like this kind of like to give you a head start on the scheduling, and the process that takes usually 60 hours or so, maybe 2 weeks to create a polished schedule. Right now, we see ADs and producers finishing that in 2 to 3 hours, maybe more, depends on the script and how familiar with you are with the material. So if assuming we spend 3 hours, we added our locations, estimated time, and we tweaked it around, we move scenes around, can we also make a budget with the same approach? So let's say we're happy with this. I'm going to go back to my project page here from the top. And here it is, our project. Now I have the schedule. I'm going to go and try to create a budget here. Here we have a few options or a few templates for my budget. The first one is mainly for long format, I would say for TV or features. This one is mainly for short films. We're currently working with several film schools, including AFI and CHAP and others. So this one, if you would make like a short film, maybe a concept or something, that would fit that production. This option is if you'd like to import an old Movie Magic budget. Let's say you have an old one, you'd like to import it and tweak it. That's an option as well. Now, to benefit from all the automation, I would recommend the standard template, making sure this is turned on to import your elements right now from the schedule that we just created. So the idea here is like, beside the automation and like saving time, we're connecting these processes together, the scheduling with the budgeting to help you finish it faster. So if I hit next, automatically it shows me that we have 20 shooting days based on the schedule that we just created. It would ask me for an estimated budget. So obviously it depends on the scale. If you're making something for $7 million or $3, or maybe a micro budget for $300,000. So you can obviously put the number that you think fits your plan. Now for the sake of this demo, I'll just put like, I'm trying to go on the lower end. So let's say we do $2 million. Kind of like, let's say like an indie. I have a list of the different states here, and that's going to affect my fringes and tax credits. So instead of like manually, you have to figure out your fringes and tax credits, it's all automated here. So you have the different states. We can choose California here, and then you can change it after you create the budget. At $2 million, you probably should having a union show, maybe at least SAG and IATSE, but obviously you can check or uncheck it based on the project you have. If you're probably doing a micro budget film for $300,000, maybe it's only SAG. So you can pick and choose what applies to your project here. So if we're happy with this, I'm going to hit create budget, and that's going to create my budget. Now, usually like the line producer would go through the paymaster, which is a 600-page PDF, to figure out the different tiers for each of them. So each unit has different tiers based on your budget, and that's going to affect the rates that you have to follow for your crew members. We automate that in seconds. So if I go to my budget assumptions here, and I'm going to go to SAG, I can see that this budget falls under low budget theatrical between $700,000 and $2 million. So this is kind of the agreement we have to follow. But for DGA, we're going to be a low budget tier 2. And because we fit that specific range. Or WGA, we're going to be on the low budget as well. And the same thing for IATSE, we're tier 0. Now, this now gets a bit technical. Are people familiar with the concept of globals from Movie Magic, or other tools? I'm just going to explain it just in case someone doesn't know it. So globals, if you think about it like as a shortcut, kind of like shortcut that you built in your software, and you can use it inside your budget. So for example, let's say we have this shoot days. I'm going to create this shortcut that's called shoot days, and the shortcut is SD, and the value of this shortcut is 20, which is referring to 20 days. Now, in the details of my budget, I'm going to go and say we have the first AC working for 20 days, but instead of writing 20, I'm going to write SD, because that's the value of the 20 days times the rate of that individual. And I can do that for the entire budget. The reason we do that is, let's say something happened and now you have to cut a day. You have to do 19 or 18 days. Or maybe you have to increase days. Maybe you got some money and you have more money to spend and you're going to increase the days. Instead of going line by line for each crew member and changing these numbers, I can just update this number, and that's going to update my entire budget. This is kind of the idea of globals, and that's been used for years. So this is not a new thing that we're making here. But what we're adding here is we have different tabs under globals. And if I go to SAG, I already have the rates for that specific tier that applies to my budget. So the SAG agreement, based on the SAG agreement, okay, the daily performer, like the stunt coordinator and performers, all built in automatically. So you don't have to go and figure out all these rates. If I go to the DGA, same thing. I have my director, UPM, first AD, and second AD, like all the rates built in. And the same goes for the WGA and the IATSE as well. And that's if you put $7 million, the rate's going to be different based on that agreement, in order just to save the producers the time for that. If I go to fringes, same thing. Usually the producer would go and set up the fringes for federal, state, payroll fringes, and union fringes as well. Automatically done for you. And obviously everything's customizable. Let's say you are working with a payroll company and they give you a better deal than 1.75, this kind of a fee that they would charge. Let's say it's 1.5, for example, or 1.3. I'll just put this 1.3, and now it's going to get updated in my budget. Now, beside these numbers, once you have them set up, that's going to make your life much easier. And then all that is already incorporated inside the budget. So this is kind of a standard looking budget. I'm just going to go over a few accounts since we have, we're good on time. I'm just going to show you guys, let's go to cast. And I'm going to go to my principal cast here. I can see I have my 2 leads automatically imported from my schedule. So I have Ali and Jack. Ali for 20 days, and Jack is scheduled for 19 days. And that's based on the schedule that we just created. And we use the rate from SAG, whatever the scale for that agreement. And the fringes automatically applied to that line. Now, most likely, obviously it depends on the project, but most likely your leads, you're going to pay them slightly more than scale. So we do have a line here as a kind of a star allowance, some money in that the producer would move around based on whatever agreement you have with that specific cast members. So again, similar to the scheduling, the idea with the budgeting here, this is not, even though it shows you here 2.4 or $2 million, whatever the number is, you don't take that as this is my finished budget. No, this is kind of the starting point for you to go and tweak the budget to fit your specific scenario and specific plan that you have for your production. If I go to day players, for example, why do I have to go as a producer and type every single day players manually? Let it all be imported, but the producer role would be to go in and add details, add a whole day, add a travel day based on the agreement. And if you use like other softwares, you can tell that this structure is very standard and familiar with a lot of producers. I'm just going to show two more accounts. I'm going to go to property here, and let's go to prop rentals. I can see we have a list of all the props imported from my schedule. Actually, this is the guitar that we added on that scene showing up here, and then a microphone and sample. And the idea here is this is kind of just a list to help the producer get a quick estimate for the details, or like how much should we spend on the props. And we do add an allowance at the top here. And this is kind of just like some money, and obviously the producer would move it based on the plan. Now, if your film is a period piece, you might want to increase the money in the art department versus maybe it's a horror or an action, you would put more money in stunt and so on. And the same apply for picture vehicles and animals if there's any. I'm just gonna go and show like the crew members. Let's go to a camera team here. So the camera team, we have the team for one camera, like we have the DP, operator, first and second AC, and the IT. Now, let's say you have a specific shot and you have a Steadicam operator for 1 day. Obviously, that's something that the producer would need to go in and add that a specific individual. Those are the details that there's always like a creative component that you have to add in. Or let's say we have a second camera on for 1 day or 2 days, and we need another first AC. So I can go in this account, and now we have a first AC for 20 days. I can just copy these lines. We're just gonna copy and paste. And then let's say we need the second AC for 2 days. So I'm able to add that individual like very easily. And obviously we have the rates already applied to that line. And again, all that is customizable. Let's say you're working with a DP and like you agreed on a different rate, slightly higher. You can go in and tweak that rate to your liking and whatever the rate you agreed on. And then you just have a very kind of like basic standard looking like budget. I'll just show you camera rentals here. So the software based on how many weeks you're shooting, based on your budget estimate, is suggesting that you're probably going to spend around 40,000 on the camera. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to spend that, because maybe you know like a camera vendor and they give you some kind of discount or a deal and you got it for 10. So I'm able to change that amount and move the money into a different account and so on. So this is our top sheet again. Something maybe I just explained in case someone needs it. And now usually like if you think about the budget, think about it as 3 layers. So this is kind of the top sheet that has all the top accounts. Like you have your camera, you have lighting, operations, sound, art department. Now, if I double click on this, now we go to the second layer, which has the different positions and sub accounts, the production designer, the art director. And now if I double click on the designer, now we go in the details of that account of like the designer, how many days is we have the designer for, how much are we paying the designer, and so on. So that's how can you like think about it. And by the way, you have at the top here, it kind of shows you that, because like you can see top sheet now under cast, now under in the principal cast details. So that's kind of like how you like visually like if you would like to visualize like how the budget is built based on these 3 levels that we have. And this is kind of a very standard looking budget, different accounts, post-production, and you have your contingency built for 10%. If I double click here, I have it built for 10%. Now, obviously, I can change that to be higher or lower, or make it a flat fee. And then we do have a line for tax credit as well. Now, obviously, tax credit, now we get in the details. Now, we also automate that. So if I open this, based on whatever state you choose, we automatically get you the percentages of that state. So usually we put the base line of whatever state you choose. So in this case, we chose California, which is from 35 and goes up to 45 or so. And then we do have a line for tax credit as well. Now, obviously, tax credit, now we get in the details. Based on whatever state you choose. So if I open this, based on whatever state you choose, we automatically get you the percentages of that state. So usually we put the base line of whatever state you choose. So in this case, we chose California, which is from 35 So in this case, we have the base for 35. And the role of the producer here, in this case, to add the qualified expense. Some producers think that when we say that we're going to get 35% or 40%, they think that we're going to get 40% on the entire budget. And usually that's not the case. So you only get the percentage or the credit based on the qualified expense. So if your budget is $2 million, maybe the qualified expense out of that is 1.6 or 1.5 million. So you're going to get 35% or 40% or whatever the percentage based on that qualified amount, because there's like specific rules for each state in terms of like what qualifies for the credits. Now, to make this process even more efficient, we do auto tagging or auto grouping. So we tag all the wages above the line in one group, all the wages below the line in a separate group, and all the expenses in a third group. And the idea here is just to give the producer a head start on how to calculate the tax credits. So let's say for the sake of this workshop, we're going to get 35% on wages below the line. That's all the crew members below the line. So I have that specific tag automatically built in. So if I do qualified wages below the line, I automatically have some money in and it's taking 35% out of that. And this is the credit amount based on that line to make it even more efficient. Now in California here, we have to exclude the fringes because it's not qualified. So we have to exclude all the fringes. And now that's going to slightly lower our credits. Now let's say we're going to get another 40% on expenses. Now I can put 40% and I put expenses, and now we have that money. And so this is like, based on this quick calculation, we're going to get $300,000 back. I hit update, and that's reflected now under my cast, showing me the net total of my budget. Now the credits, there are way more details in the credit. We do have, we have a few articles on our website that goes in the details of like how to apply the credit. And we have a tutorial, like a detailed in terms of like how to play with that credit, where I explain it in details. I'm just for the sake of this demo, I just want to couple of few last things. Obviously, you can export your PDF report here. And this is kind of like a very standard looking. You've probably seen many budgets like this in terms of structure. I would say slightly cleaner and more modern than the old tools that we used to use. And this is kind of like a very quick overview, very high level. I've seen there's like several questions in that chat, so I want to make sure that we have enough time to cover all of them.
We do have a ton of questions. Would you just maybe really quickly just touch on the final stuff you have available, which is create call sheets, production reports,
Yes.
maybe just like a 2-minute brief overview?
It is. It's very quick. Let's say I have my schedule, I have my budget. We're close to actually go into production. I can create a call sheet. And I go similar because we're connecting schedule to the budget to the call sheet. So with one click, I'm able to create this call sheet that has all my scenes for day one automatically imported. I have the cast for those scenes and the advanced schedule automatically built in. So you don't have to copy paste and use different templates and Excel and merge cells. It's all like built for you. And obviously you can always add scene. Let's say we decided we're going to add an additional scene here. You can always add that scene with a click again, because again, it's connected. I can put an address here. Let's say I'm going to put an address here. Based on the address and the date, my weather information get updated. I'm going to fill in my information for the company once. I can fill my details. The second page, very standard looking. And once you fill it for day one, all that is going to transfer. I can go and create day two, and all that information, all the crew members and the names would transfer into day two, and then you can adjust it. And based on that, let's say we're done with day one. Can I also create a production report? I can go here and make a production report, and all the names will transfer as well. And you just add the details of like what happened on set, what time did you wrap, and those specific things. So the idea here is just to make it efficient, like for the second AD and the coordinator and whoever is touching this process by like you probably can tell by now, like in terms of like our vision is like, how can we streamline this process? It's all the logistics behind the scenes, the schedule with the budget, with the call sheet, and PR. This is a kind of like the 2 minute pitch of the call sheet and PR. But yes,
No, it's great. Thank you for going through all this with us. One
of
question I
course.
know is very popular is, can you make a budget without putting in a dollar amount first to see what the script comes up with?
No, we don't offer that at the moment. Maybe that's something we can explore. And the reason for that, and I get this question often, that you can give me a script and I can build you a budget for $3 million and another one for 10. And both of them are correct and you can make it. It's just like there's a lot of different assumptions here. And the type of production is going to be slightly different for each of them. So at the moment, at least, no, we still need that input from the user um, to make that decision.
Ali has another question, which is she's been playing with the app, but she could not figure out how to add in permits, licenses, and globals. And she can jump in
Okay.
if you need more information.
Yes. Now, globals. At the top here, obviously, I have my globals here. So usually you have a set for globals, but you can always add a new one. So I can go here at the top right, and I can add a new globals. Let's say you prefer to have a specific global for. It could be. And I'm just going to call it TT, and like it's a test global. I can just like add it in, and I put the value for that to be per day. Let's say it's a flat fee of $1,000. And then I can go into my accounts and use that global as TT into any of the accounts. So that's the globals. In terms of permits, if I understood correctly, usually that's permit goes under location. So I can go under my location account, 3400. And now we have a line here for permits, if that's what you're referring to. So like it depends on the location. We have an allowance for 3,000. Now, once you know the details for production, let's say your permits like 2,000 or maybe it's 10,000, that's where you can adjust it from. What was the last thing, Jen? Like permits, globals, and what's the other thing?
You know, I think all of the other questions that I had were answered. Those were my main
Oh,
ones, were the
great.
permits really and the globals. So thank you so much.
Of course.
And if anybody else has questions, feel free to raise your hands and get asked. I'm just going down the list right
Definitely.
now. Melody
Yeah.
asks, or she says, I have a character named Eve. How do I get it to not recognize words with Eve in them, even, ever, evergreen, etc., as a cast member?
Okay. Great question. Now, that specific scenario, I have to take a look at the script. But one quick tool that's gonna save you so much time. Um, let's say there's I mean, the software should be able to detect it on its own because that Eve is like probably has lines. And so with the moment we get that, we were able to detect that specific cast members. But let's say there was like an issue, and I don't think that's the case, but let's say there's an issue and like there's a mix and match. I'm just going to delete this. Let's say an actor was not detected. The moment I add a cast members, I can I have an option to look for it in the entire script, which is all occurrences in the script. So if I put Eve here, or like let's say it was written Eve, it would only look for Eve. It's not gonna mix it with like Eber or something else. So this tool, by like adding the tag and checking all occurrences, would get you that. But again, for that specific case, feel free to reach out to me afterward, like if you have the issue, and we're happy to even take a look and make sure it doesn't happen with you.
Yeah, I'll send that over to you because it definitely does. It flags it in those words that I mentioned
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah. If you're able to share the script with me, I'm more than happy to take a look and we'll make sure that doesn't happen. Thank you.
Dorothy asks, how do we account for overtime, i.e., going past 8 hours?
Great question. Now, in the budget, and maybe it's a good thing actually to explain, like usually like, in my workshops. Um, the budget is built for 12 hours because, like most of the time, at least, like you plan to shoot for 12 hours. So let's say if I go to my first, let's go to first AC, which we visited before. You can see that I'm looking at this line, the shoot line. So in this line, we have this individual, the first AC, is scheduled for 20 days, so 20, and the unit is days. And now the rate, this is the hourly rate of that individual. And the hourly rate is multiplied by 14. And that's to account for the overtime. So it's also to explain. So like at least in California, the rate here is like, if you're working for the first 8 hours, you're going to get your base rate, or they call straight time. So which means like this rate times 8. Any hours beyond 8, you're going to get overtime, which is you're going to get paid 1.5 of that specific rate. So in this case, like 30, you're probably going to get paid around 45 or so per hour. And that's why it's showing 14 here, not 12, to account for that, for this overtime. Is this clear? I mean, usually like I would explain it over like a board, but that's kind of like the base. So our budget is built for 12 hours, but you can obviously, let's say you're going to do an extra hour, you can always go here and add it in. Now, to add even more details on that, if you go to globals and under general, we do have some calculations for that. So like the 8-hour day, obviously the value here is 8. If you're shooting for 10-hour days, the value here is 11. And the 12-hour, the value is 14. So you can use these preset globals to quickly change your budgets for that.
Follow up on that.
Please.
Can you show us how you do that for the actors? Because SAG is the one that's actually pretty particular.
Yes, I'm happy you asked. So for cast, these rates are built for 8 hours. That's the agreement. And that's why we just put them at 8. Now for our principal cast, we always have a star allowance, because most likely you're going to have an agreement with the agent or whoever on a specific amount. So that's why we didn't add the days here. But so that's kind of like the reason. But I'll try to explain it with the day player. Let me say I'm going to go to day player, and let's say Bobby is going to be there for 8 days, and we need him to work for let's say 12 hours. We need him for full 12 hours. There's multiple ways. Now we're going to do some math here, but like if this is the daily rate for 8 hours. So I need to get the hourly rate out of it. So I have to get this rate and divide it by 8. So right now the 101 is the hourly rate. And then I'm just going to multiply it by 14, which gives me the 12 hours per day. Is that clear? So you see, so I took the 8-hour, the rate, which is for 8 hours, just divided by 8 to get the hourly, and then I multiplied by how many hours I need him on set. Because SAG usually in the rate card, they always publish the daily rate versus the hourly.
Dorothy, do you have any? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's just something that's not intuitive for us. But thank you. That's something
Of course.
Many of us are shooting internationally, so Virginia has a great question. Two-parter. Part 1, are you considering adding other countries and their union rates? And 2, is there an option for having more than one currency in case of international co-productions?
Great question. Yes, yes and yes. So we are we're working on adding like international rates. The most requested right now is Canada, because like TV shows, I mean, even for production companies we're talking to, Canada is probably the first thing that we're gonna at least automate the provinces and the different tax credits. So yes, that said, we do have users right now building budgets in South America, in Canada, in the UK, and East Asia. So you're able to use that internationally, even without the automation. What you're probably gonna need to adjust the fringes slightly to fit whatever country or like state that might have different percentages here. You can just adjust these for that. Now, when you build the budget, we also have an option here at the bottom. It's like other at the moment, which is international. And that's just going to zero out your federal and state fringes so you can fill it in manually. So that's kind of on the countries. Now, let's say you're shooting in 2 countries, like in the US and like in California, and then you're going overseas or in Canada or in the UK or somewhere else. You can change the currency of the budget by you have budget currency, and I can choose, let's say we're going to do Canadian or US. But then I can do also more than one currency, which is under managed currencies. I'm just going to hit edit. And then I'm going to get the latest rates. And beside the US here, I'm going to add Australian dollars and Canadian dollars too. And now I'm able to go in my budget and specify that number. I'll just demonstrate with one account. Let's say I'm going to go to my art department, for example. I'm going to go to the art director. Let's say this is a local art director in a different country. I'm just going to show my currency column. And under currency here, I'm just going to choose, instead of US, now let's say this rate is a Canadian rate. I'm just going to put it Canadian. And that automatically shifted this amount right away. I mean, you see the difference between US, now it's 9,000. If I put Canadian, it becomes 6,000 here. So that's kind of like, so yes, we do have the options, and obviously there's more details to it, but yes.
And then does that create different, like on the top sheet, does that create like a Canadian currency and an Australian, like what other currency? Like, so you get, so in the top sheet, you could see.
Yeah,
No.
at the moment, no. It would just it would convert. It would use whatever the main currency that the budget. So if it's the US is the main one, it's going to convert all the different currencies into US or vice versa.
But
Yeah.
it does do it, including the exchange rate, which is important since the dollar sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be great. I don't know if you guys are looking for input, but like a lot of the like co-productions, like I should say with Canada and Europe, like you're also going after, government funding as well. Yeah. And they want to see different columns for the currencies, like what's coming from one country, what's coming from the other. So anyway, if that's awesome, that's good. By the way, I used to AD, so huge appreciation for what this is created. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the suggestion. And like, as we're adding obviously more support to international, that's obviously one of the things I'm going to make sure we have the columns for different currencies.
Okay. Zardosh, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. He says, you mentioned you work with film schools. Do you have any discounts for film instructors who teach producing courses to students?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do have an educational pricing for educational institutions. So, I mean, if you like to email me, I'm more than happy to discuss it, whether it's for the school or even just for the instructor or for the students. Yes, so we do have that.
Here's a
maybe
very
I also.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was like, since we're talking about pricing, I can just show it like in general, just the pricing for anyone who's interested. So this is our website, and if I go to pricing, you can see we have the plans. We have either yearly or monthly plan, so you can pick and choose. Like if you're AD, you probably only want scheduling. Maybe a producer wants scheduling and budgeting, and our pricing is very competitive compared to the standard tools in the industry.
Dorothy says, which is important for a lot of the people on here who are selected for the film teams, and they're going to need to share projects. If I create a project under my account, how do I share it with others on my team? Is there a collaboration option like Google, or does the project need to be created in one account and everyone else needs to sign into that single account to access the project?
Great question. Let's say the project we just created, the schedule and the budget, I want to share it with someone. I can go to on the project page next to the title here, I can hit on the 3 dots and share a project. And now I'm able to share the project with different team members. I can choose to share the schedule or the budget or maybe everything. And now on the other side, it's going to show up something like this. Shared with me, I can see this project and I can edit it. So, and any edits on one side is going to appear on the other side and vice versa. So that's kind of a way to collaborate if you're like 2 producers on a project or something like that, or an AD and a producer. One thing also on collaboration. Yeah. One last thing on collaboration. Beside the collaboration tool, let's say an AD, you're working on the schedule, you want to share it with a lot of people, but obviously you don't want them to touch it and change it. Besides sharing just PDFs with them, which you can always like download and share, like email with them, we do have a share link here at the bottom here, where we're able to invite people to see all the schedules that you created. So I can copy this link And if I open it in a new tab just to show you how it looks, it's going to show up something like this. They have the strip board, they can see the calendar and the other days. And you can share that with anyone, even if they don't have an account on Shamel Studio, they're able to access it. Whether it's on collaboration side, yes, they do obviously have an account to be able to go in and change it.
That's what I was going to say, is the follow-up would probably be that if you're both trying to manipulate schedules and budgets, both people, if they're using their own account, they need the full plan, right? Or
Correct,
can they
yes.
edit someone else's on the free plan?
No, they have to. The sharing collaboration has to be the full plan. Yeah.
Okay, we are pretty much out of time. If anybody has any last minute questions that are still hanging out, by all means,
Let's do it.
get them in now. Virginia, go for it.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, like, are you guys tracking like when collective agreements, like let's just say next year, like there's a percentage that's going to increase and all that stuff? You guys are on top of that?
Yes, I can show you. We just added what was it? The WGA, like what was added like 2 weeks ago. We just updated that, and I know that just 2 days ago, SAG-AFTRA confirmed after the voting. So we're gonna probably update that this week. But yes, we are updating that. As the moment we have a new agreement, we update the rates.
That's great.
Great question. Thank you.
And Kathy asks, if you start your project on a free plan, can you then move it to a paid plan to get it more in depth?
Yes. Sorry, can you repeat that? You said it's starting on the free?
So if you start with the free plan and you're making a project, but then you want more tools, can you then move it to a paid plan without redoing the project?
Absolutely. Yes. You would have, I believe on the free plan, you would have an option, like the moment you update, it's going to show you, they're going to open up more tools and show you the remaining of the script. I mean, for anyone who maybe didn't try it, if you try the free plan, I'll just show it here. On the free plan, it's limited, but it allows you to at least test the software to see if it fits your workflow. It would probably process about 20 to 25 pages out of a feature script. But let's say you try that and you like it and it looks good for you, then you can upgrade and it's just going to show you all the remaining. You don't have to restart again. But even if you start, it should take only 20 seconds. Yes.
And then Aaron, and our final question is, how are the scripts uploaded, kept secure, and isolated from any other AI or any users?
Great question. We get that all the time, especially like on the studio level. So everything is encrypted, whether it's encrypted during transit or either at even like when it's saved, and we use AWS, Amazon Web Services, and it's only you who have access to that account. So it's not like a shared something or like a server in my place. So it's pretty secured, and if that makes you even more comfortable, we passed a security check of one of the major studios recently. So I think from like a security level, we're good. And by the way, we have all our details on the security and privacy policy on our website, if like even to check the details. And I think the main question that people are concerned about, we do not train on any schedules or budgets or scripts. So we do not do any training on any of these content.
That's great. And I'm going to end with Ali's comment, because I think this is said by me and Ali, who is one of the fellows, and all the other fellows who are on here, like Virginia. We just want to thank you for the use of this platform for our projects and for your time this morning. It is an amazing tool. It's very cool. I've used a lot of these products before from different people, and yours is actually surpassing anything I've seen yet. So great work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.